It's a problem. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. It's great to be with you. Thank you for joining us for our virtual Friday evening service. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor. How are you?
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, Robin.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Good to see both of you. Kevin O'Malia, as you may know from last week, unfortunately, Kevin O'Malia's mother passed away. We send our condolences to Kevin and his family. He's not able to be with us this evening, so Robin Streitman is accompanying us. Thank you very much, Robin. Our service will begin now with our opening song, which is Al Shlosha Devarim. That may be found on page 338 of the prayer book, page 338.
Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam Omed. Al Torah, Al Avodah, Al Gemilut Chasadim. Al Torah, Al Avodah, Al Gemilut Chasadim. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Olam Omed.
Our service will continue now on pages 2 and 3 of the prayer book with the blessing for the Shabbat candles. You are welcome to rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Baruch Shabbat. Amen.
You may be seated. Our service continues now on page 4. Vayihi erev, vayihi boker, yom hashishi. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day.
Vayafulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chov ziva'am. Vayafulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chov ziva'am. Vayifal Elohim b'yom hashvi'i l'chtor asher asa. Vayishblot b'yom hashvi'i mikol l'chtor asher asa. Vayifulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chov ziva'am. Vayifulu hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chov ziva'am. Vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto. Shabbat, Shabbat, Mikamelachol, Asher bara Elohim la'asot, Vayeful, Hashamayim, Ve'haaretz Tifasivat, Vayeful, Hashamayim, Ve'haaretz Tifasivat.
The heaven and the earth were finished and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. You're welcome to rise now as we continue with Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei prarim ha'gafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotot ve'atzavonu. Shabbat Kodsho, B'Ava U'Ratzon E'Nchilanu, Zikaron L'Maaseh V'Bereshit, Ki Hu Yom Tehillah L'Mikroi Kodesh, Zefer L'Tzion Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'chata, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, Uvratzon in Chatanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. You may be seated. Our service continues now on page 6. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Our service continues now on page 10 with Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh Avachamon, Yedid Nefesh Avachamon, Meshochad Lecha, Eretz Onecha, Meshochad Lecha, la 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 la, Eretz Onecha.
Our service continues now on page 26 with the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadash Shemerabah Yaleman Yifrachelte Yamlech Malchote Bechayechon Yomechon Uvchayechon Beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizman Karis V'yimeru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mivarach Elam Uleal Me'amaya Yibarach Yibarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ag Yitramon V'yitnaseh V'yitador V'yitallah V'yitallah Shemei Kodeshah Le'ela min kol birchato V'shirato Tushbichato V'nechemato Damiran mi'avima V'yimeru Amen.
We rise now for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMivorach Baruch Adonai HaMivorach HaMivorach Le'olam Moed HaMivorach HaMivorach Le'olam Moed.
You may be seated. Our service continues now on page 30 with the Ma'ariv Aravim prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim. Bechochma poteach she'arim, ubivuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzonah. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdil bein yom u'bein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. I'll be reading on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We turn now to pages 34 and 35. You are welcome to rise as we offer the Shema together.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Le'olam, Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue on page 36 with Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Scribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Our service continues now with Mi Chamocha, page 40.
גדול בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך רעות עמך, בוקע הים לפני משה מרים, צאלי אנו ועמנו, Adonai Imnoch Le'olam Va'ed.
Our service will continue now on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporeh sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We turn now to page 44 as we continue with Vishamro.
Shabbat v'dot ha'berit olam tishamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat B'tolotam B'tolam Beini Oven B'nai Yisrael B'nai Yisrael Oti Le'olam V'shamru B'nai Yisrael Et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat B'dorotam B'ritolam Ki sheshet yomim Asa Adonai Et HaShamayim V'et ha'aretz V'shamru B'nai Yisrael Et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat B'dorotam B'ritolam Ulayom Ashvi Shabbat Vayinachash Shabbat Vayinachash Shabbat Vayinachash V'shamru B'nai Yisrael Et HaShabbat Lasot et HaShabbat B'dorotam B'ritolam.
Our service continues now on page 46 with the tefillah. You are welcome to rise.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufi Yagiti Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Yimoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor V'Anorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chosadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geulah Livnei Bneihem, L'Ma'an Shemo V'Yava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Yezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, V'chayei HaKol atah Rav Noshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mkayem B'Emunato, Lishenei Achar, Michamocha B'Gevurot, U'Mido Melach, Melech Memit, U'Mechayeh, U'Matzliach Yeshua, V'ne'emar atah L'Hachayot HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom, Yihalelu Chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You are welcome to be seated. Our service continues now on page 60 with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav on Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav on Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Ki atom melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atom melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom on Yisrael tasim leolam. Shalom on Yisrael tasim leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. V'chaledo v'chol sham b'shlomecha. Shalom on Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom on Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamvarech et Amo Yisrael b'Shalom.
Thank you, Cantor. We continue now on page 61 with the prayer for our country. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, eternal one, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'Shalom. We turn now to page 259 as we continue with the prayer for Israel. Sha'alu, Shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishla'oho Havayach. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu B'Shamayim, Sur Yisrael V'Go'alo. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. This time we turn now to page 253 in the prayer book. As we prepare to offer the Mishaberach prayer now, we call to mind all those in need of healing, whether that be a healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. If there's someone in your life in need of a healing prayer, please type their name in now in our YouTube comments so that we may pray for them and think of them as well. Mishaberach Avotenu V'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak V'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel V'Leah U'yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion, for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say, Amen.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi Shabbat imoteno, bless those in need of healing, with refuah the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We take a few moments now for our own silent prayer and reflection.
Shalom, shalom, beloved. Say shalom aleinu, v'yakov Yisrael, v'yimnu amen. Yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakov Yisrael, amen. Amen. Shalom, Shalom, Bimramav. Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu. B'yakol Yisrael ve'yimno. Amen. B'yakol Yisrael ve'yimno.
We will continue now with our Torah service. We turn now to page 244. We continue with Ein Kamocha, page 244.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, v'yein k'masecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'menshatecha b'chodon v'adon. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam v'ed. Adonai oz le'moitzen. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
You are welcome to rise as we open the Ark for Av HaRachamim.
Av HaRachamim, eitiv v'etzlonecha et Zion. Tivneh chomat Yerushalayim. Tivneh chomat Yerushalayim. Kivecha levad matachnu, melech eram v'nisa Adon olamim.
We continue on page 246, Ki Mitzion.
Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, L'divar Adonai Merushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Namo Yisrael, B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, Ramama Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai HaGedola, HaGedola, HaTiferet, HaNetzach v'Hod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'v'haaretz, Ki chol b'shamayim u'v'haaretz. Lecha Adonai HaMabracha, V'yamit na'aseh lecha elosh.
You are welcome to be seated. The Torah portion for this week is Vayera from the book of Genesis. Cantor will be chanting from the beginning of the portion, in Genesis chapter 18, which tells the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. However, tonight I would like to speak about the end of the Torah portion, which tells the story of the Akedah, the binding of Isaac. In Genesis chapter 22, we read that God told Abraham to take his beloved son, the one who will carry on the covenant of the Jewish people of Isaac, and to sacrifice him upon the mountain. Abraham set forth without argument, took his son to the mountain, and bound him to the altar. An angel of God cried out, "Abraham, Abraham." God told Abraham not to sacrifice Isaac, rather to offer a ram in his place. We read the story of the Akedah also on Rosh Hashanah because of the ram, whose horn represents the shofar that we blow to welcome in the new year. The story of the binding of Isaac is difficult and morally challenging. We wonder why God would ask Abraham to sacrifice his son, even if God never intended for Abraham to actually commit the deed, which is what I believe. One clue to God's intentions comes from the very first verse of this story. Vayehi acharei hadabarim ha'eleh ve'aleh Elohim nisa et Abraham. After all of these things, God tested Abraham. Perhaps the Akedah is a test of Abraham's faith, loyalty, and character. The rabbis were struck by the phrase that begins the story, "after all these things." They taught that the Akedah was the last of 10 tests that Abraham faced in his life. The first test was when God told Abraham to leave his homeland and travel to Israel. Abraham continued to face other challenges, and the last and most difficult test, of course, was the Akedah, the binding of his son. Like Abraham, we too face tests. Some difficulties are of our own making. At other times, we deal with issues that come upon us due to no fault of our own, like this terrible pandemic. Even if we seek to lead upright and ethical lives, we will all face our share of tests. Perhaps we can take solace knowing that even the first Jew, who spoke directly to God, still faced many trials. Abraham also teaches that we can be strong in the face of adversity. One rabbinic commentary said that Abraham was like an unfinished piece of gold. He had to face the fire in order to be refined and to become stronger and more valuable. We too are refined by the tests of life. We call it building character. Like Abraham, we benefit from facing our challenges with strength and seeking to grow in character from every test in our lives. And now, Cantor, you get the Torah blessings today. You get the Aliyah. So I get the pleasure of calling you by your Hebrew name, which I'm going to do now. Ya'amod hechazan Avram ben Benjamin v'chava la Torah.
Baruch et Adonai HaMorach.
Baruch Adonai Morach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Vayera elav Adonai ve'elonei mamre v'hu yoshev petach ha'ohel kechol hayom vayisa enav vayar v'hinei shosha anashim nitzavim alav vayar vayaratz likratam mipetach ha'ohel vayishtachu arza vayomar Adonai imna matzati chen be'enecha al na ta'avor me'al avdecha yukachna me'ad mayim v'rachatzu raglechem v'hishanu tachat ha'etz Ve'ekcha fadlechem v'sa'adu libchem achar ta'avoru ki al ken avartem al avdechem vayomru כן תעשה כאשר דיברת. וימהר אברהם האוהלה אל שרה, ויאמר מהרים שלא עושים כמפסולת, לוסי ועשי עוגות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Yashar Koach Cantor, thank you for our Torah reading this evening. I'll invite you all to rise. Now I'll be lifting the Torah as we give honor to the Torah scroll. Our service continues now on page 256 with Eitz Chaim.
Eitz Chaim lema'asikim ba v'tomechecha me'oshav drafecha noam v'chom tivotecha Shalom. Ashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuvo Chodesh Yameinu Chodesh Yameinu Tikedem.
Our service continues now with the Aleinu prayer, page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, atei b'dulam yotzeh breshit, shelo asam k'kanyeh haratzot, v'lo somanu k'mishmichot ha'adama. Shalom, Psalm, Takeda, Kamen, Migor, Olenu, Kichal, Amonam, Va'anachnu, Koreim, Umishtachavim, Umodim, Lefnei Melech, Malchei HaMelechim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu.
You may be seated.
Shehulat Shamayim v'Yosel Haaretz, U'Moshe v'Nikarov Hashamayim v'Ma'al, U'Shchinatu Zo, v'Gafei B'Elohim, Eloheinu Einot, Emet Malkeinu, Efes Olato, Kagatos, Vitorato, Yadotoyom, V'Hashivota, Elevadecha, Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim, V'Shamayim V'Ma'al, V'Haaretz, Mitachat Einot, V'nei
We turn now in our prayer book to page 294. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer, we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. On this Shabbat, we recall for Kaddish Susan O'Malia, mother of Kevin O'Malia, and Gerald Diamond, friend of Alan and Arnold Block. And we remember for Yartzeit, Sandra Bichachi, William Husid, Helen Pfeiffer, Lydia Finlay, Elaine Garber, Frank Goldblatt, Nettie Hertz, Fanny Kaminsky, Pauline Levy, Eric Mayer, Pauline Margulies, Diane Sachs-Metzler, Louis Miller, Sylvia Moskowitz, Solomon Nissen, Ralph Sabers, Murray Sadowski, Sidney Zagorin, Melvin Etline, Julia Hirsch, Joseph Ergon, Sajid Kupferman, Milton Morgenstern, Jacob Rosenbaum, David Rosenberg, Luke Zachary Schwab, Sam Shabronsky, Felix Schickrist, Morris Susson, and Sadie Winter. You are welcome to rise now as we recall our loved ones and we join in reciting the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah v'yamad yigrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei amayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitala shemed kudisha barechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram v'yama v'imru amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu v'Yakol Yisrael, Imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Oseh Shalom b'mramav, Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Thank you very much, Cantor and Robin, for leading services with me this evening and for our beautiful music. I'd like to share a few announcements with our virtual congregation. We are having our delicious Orchards Pie Sale. Orders due from now until the 9th of November. You'll get your pies in time for Thanksgiving and support our religious school. On Tuesday, the 10th of November at 7:30 p.m. will be our DPEC speaker, a virtual conversation, human trafficking in our backyards with Lauren Hirsch. You'll have a link for that in our temple email. Friday, November 13th, 8 p.m. virtual Shabbat services. Sunday, November 15th at 2 p.m. will be the 5th annual Global Day of Jewish Learning. That'll be on Zoom. I'll be joining the other two rabbis here in East Brunswick from the East Brunswick Jewish Center in Young Israel, and also the rabbi of the congregation in Old Bridge, and we'll all be talking together on Zoom, so you can join us for that. Sunday, the 15th at 2 p.m. Friday, the 20th of November, will be our virtual Shabbat service with DPEC guest speaker, Rabbi Tiferet Berenbaum. She's an African-American rabbi in Boston. She'll be telling her story during services and also speaking to our congregation afterwards on Zoom. And get your Sisterhood Mahjong card sale. Order now until January 24th, 2021. So, I want to thank you all for being here with us this evening for our Shabbat service. We are going to conclude now on page 321 with Adon Olam, followed by the Borei Moshe.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra V'yet Nasa V'chefzo kol Azar Melech Shemo Nikra Azar Melech Shemo Nikra V'acharei Kiknot HaKol Adoyim loch nora, v'hu haya, v'hu hava, v'hu yiyeh, v'tifara, v'hu yiyeh, v'tifara, v'hu echad, v'ein sheni, v'hamshilo, v'achvira, Veli Reshit, Veli Tachlit, Velo Haoz, Ve'Hamisra, Velo Haoz, Ve'Hamisra, Velo Elim, V'chai Gloami, V'tzor Chefli, V'yitzara, Velo Mislim, Olanosli, V'nakosi, V'yomekra, v'nakosi, v'yomekra, v'yado achimoti, v'yetishan, v'yahira, v'imrochi, v'yati, Adonai li, v'lo ira, Adonai li, v'lo ira. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Have a great week. Stay safe and healthy all.